what's up everyone, TJ here. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Public Research snowboard in collaboration with Snowboard Magazine. Let's check it out. All right, if you guys are unfamiliar, Public is a snowboard brand that was started by professional rider Joe Sexton, a living legend known for his urban parts, and has done some pretty incredible things on his snowboard, including hit what I believe is still the longest street rail ever hit. It was 157 feet long. Definitely check out his video parts if you're unfamiliar. And Public started off as a more freestyle focused brand, and recently they introduced a directional board on the line that's more like free ride, all mountain powder focused, and that is the Research right here. So let's talk about it. And real quick before I jump into the tech, for your reference, I'm 5'10", I weigh 155 pounds, and I tested the Research in size 157. Now, like I mentioned, this does have a directional design to it. It has a very classic free ride outline, and you are gonna have a little bit more nose than tail outside the contact points. You're also gonna find a little bit of a taper and setback in the design of this one. So you're gonna have 20 millimeter setback, so the inserts are a little bit closer to the tail of the snowboard, as well as 8 millimeters of taper. So the tail is 8 millimeters narrower than the nose at the contact points as well. So all that's gonna work together to help this board out in soft snow and enhance that powder experience. This is gonna be a camber dominant snowboard as well. It runs Public's Mountain Alert camber, is what they called it. So for most of the snowboard, it's positive camber. It does have a very stable, powerful feel to it. It's a very locked in board, but you do find a little bit of reverse towards the contact points in the tail and a little bit more in the nose, a little bit of early rise. And what I like about that profile for this style of snowboard is that when you activate the camber, you're gonna actually activate that reverse in the nose and tail even more to get a further benefit in soft snow, which is nice. Other than that, you're gonna find a ton of carbon built into the layup of this snowboard. It has 2 carbon V's, one in the nose, one in the tail, going from kind of inside your feet out to the contact points to give it a more responsive feel, as well as tip to tail carbon stringers. So tons of carbon to help amplify the pop and the energy that you're gonna be able to get out of the camber in this snowboard. But it also runs urethane sidewalls, which is the same material that skateboard wheels are made out of, and offer a nice dampening benefit. So it's going to kind of help mellow out vibrations and smooth out the ride as you're out there exploring the resort. And it also runs a sintered base, which is a higher end base material that's known to be tougher and faster versus an extruded base. You do want to make sure to wax it regularly to maintain a nice, fast, consistent glide through the season. But I will say, I tested this board pretty late season, and I kind of ollied a roller blind at A Basin and landed literally right on a rock. I tried to land light-footed, but I thought the base was pretty cooked, and it actually didn't really do hardly any damage at all. So this does have a pretty tough base on it. But that's it for the tech breakdown. Let's get into how this board felt out there riding around and exploring the resort. I got to test this thing out at Mammoth as well as A Basin late season. All right, flex-wise, this is gonna be a very sturdy, powerful feeling snowboard that sits more in the free ride category in my opinion. Flex is solidly on the stiffer side of medium with a nice responsive torsional flex to match. And you know, with that considered, as well as the directionality in this snowboard, it's pretty tough to get some flex out of it. It's gonna make you work for it. It's gonna make you muscle it if you're trying to, you know, sit in a tail press, do some butters and things like that. You're gonna be fighting against the flex and the positive camber. This board actually has a pretty tall camber to it, which is great for exploring the resort and the power and like locked in feel that you want for this style of snowboard, but does make, you know, flat tricks and butters a little bit more challenging, and definitely making sure that you're paying attention to your edges so you don't get hooked up out there. It does have great energy though. I think it's got excellent snap and pop. So if you are trying to get freestyly with it as you're out there exploring, hitting side hits, or even taking it through the park, I don't think that's an area where you're gonna be let down. This thing holds potential energy very well and gives that right back to you. And when I was out at Mammoth getting laps on this board, it was pretty late season, very like slushy conditions that tend to be a little bit grabby. And I think that the reverse and the tips of this snowboard did make it quite a bit more forgiving and helped me out there a lot. I spent a lot of time in the park at Mammoth as well, so I felt this board out with a more freestyle approach. And while generally I think taking a directional board like this through the park is a bit more of a novelty, it didn't feel too bad. You know, it rides like a very stiff park board. You're going to be fighting against that camber and the flex to get presses. It's not going to give up presses easily, but you can definitely get it done. You can hit some jibs and have a good time. It feels a little bit more jump leaning in my opinion. It's got plenty of stability to step up to bigger features, bigger gaps, get some air time and hang on to those landings even if you land, you know, maybe a little bit back seat or something like that. Powered through the slush very well also, and doesn't feel too strange riding switch. You know, you're going to notice the taper and the setback a little bit, but something that I think you'll be able to get used to pretty quickly. So, you know, definitely a novelty hitting proper park laps. I'd be hunting down more natty features, cliff drops, trying to get this in some softer snow conditions and hitting features. But if you happen to be, you know, riding through some slush park laps on this thing, you know, knock yourself out. It's still pretty fun in there and kind of stays true to the origins of public with that more freestyle approach. I did take this board out for a second day to feel it out in some more proper like all mountain free ride conditions late season at A Basin, and kind of ran through the whole gamut of conditions from like more firm kind of icy variable snow earlier in the day to some slush again in the afternoon, and was able to hit some pretty steep terrain on this thing. And I want to talk about how it carves. So two things I always like to talk about in the reviews are the waist width and the side cut. At size 157, you're going to find a 25.4 centimeter waist and a 7.4 meter side cut. So it's going to give you nice, energetic, quick, nimble carves. Like I said before, this board has a really tall camber to it, so it does have a very precise, like powerful, locked in feel carving this thing. You might be a little bit limited if you're trying to really lay the board over with the width, but you know, it is a very capable carver out there. It's going to hold a strong edge in any condition, even more firm conditions. And that rocker in the nose does make it a little bit easier to initiate. But generally speaking, this is a powerful snowboard. You're going to be able to let this thing loose and take it up to those high speeds, and it's going to hang on very well. No chatter in the tips. This thing is a ripper. Now, one thing I wish I would have been able to get done on this board is a proper POW test, but I do plan to do a separate video on that later in the season, so please make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. But overall, this is a board that's going to be better suited for riders with a little bit more experience with the amount of precision that you're going to find in this thing. And it's just a very powerful, energetic snowboard. It's really fun for carving, and it's going to be a great choice as a versatile resort explorer. You can have fun on this thing in pretty much any condition. So if you value a nice stable platform under your feet and you want a nice capable all mountain board, consider the Public Research. I'm gonna have this one linked down below so y'all can check it out, as well as a link to the latest issue of Snowboard Magazine. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching today. Drop a like if you got some value, and I will see you guys in a new review next time. Later, y'all.